Hi, this is Jason Wood from Activate Ed, and this is the next in our video podcasts for VCE Physical Education. Today we're going to talk about training for improved performance. So we're going to look at the various training principles that need to be applied to get fitness improvements. So in order to improve performance, appropriate training methods need to be utilised. In addition to that, you need to apply training principles correctly. So training can be used to improve both aerobically or anaerobically, and different training methods would be used for each, and training principles would be applied differently. So let's look at aerobic improvement for starters. So the training methods that could be used for aerobic improvement include continuous training, Fartlek training, long interval training, circuit training, and they're associated with improvements in aerobic capacity and muscular endurance. If we want to achieve measurable aerobic improvement, so that's an improvement that can't be accounted for by other factors like your level of fatigue, your diet on the day of testing, the weather, etc., etc. So if you want to achieve some measurable improvement, then a combination of those training methods should be completed 3 to 5 times a week. So that doesn't mean if you choose to use Fartlek training and continuous training, you don't need to use 3 to 5 sessions of each. You need to use 3 to 5 sessions of a combination of those two training methods. To achieve measurable improvement, training should be conducted at between 70 and 85% of max heart rate. So predicted max heart rate is calculated by subtracting your age from 220, and then you can work out your average heart rate during training from that. Duration, we need to train for at least 30 minutes per session in order to achieve that improvement. And a training program could be 15 weeks in length before significant improvement can be measured, or it could be as little as 6 weeks. It's more likely to be at the longer end of that range. Overload is really important. Physiological changes occur in response to functional pressures. So fitness improvements occur by periodically increasing the physical stress levels on the body by increasing the workload. So examples of overload might be increasing work time or distance, increasing intensity of work, increasing resistance. If you were running, you might run uphill or run in sand, carry a weight. But workload should never be increased by more than 10%. It's critical that training is specific to the needs of the athlete. It should mimic the competitive activity as much as possible. So things to consider are the important fitness components. So we've talked mainly at this stage about aerobic capacity and muscular endurance, important energy systems, in this case the aerobic system, and important muscle groups. And so the best way to do that is to make sure that you're doing common activities. So, in simple terms, runners need to run, cyclists need to ride, and swimmers need to swim. So if you're involved in an activity that involves lots of running, your training should involve lots of running. If we talk about anaerobic improvement, the training methods are quite different. So we might be using resistance training, circuit training again could be used, short or intermediate interval training, and plyometrics. And they're associated with improvements in anaerobic capacity, muscular strength, muscular power, speed, and agility. We need to train 3 to 4 times per week in order to achieve measurable improvement. The intensity is a bit different here. So the intensity required anaerobic improvement is dependent on which energy system you're attempting to train. If you're wanting to improve the function of anaerobic glycolysis, then we need to work at 85 to 95% of max heart rate. If we want to train the ATP-CP system, we need to train at 95 to 100% of perceived max effort. And we use a different term here because the ATP-CP system is used for explosive activities of less than 10 seconds. And in that time, there's no way you're going to get your heart rate up to 95 or 100% of max heart rate. So we talk about the perceived max effort. Essentially, if you're training the ATP-CP system, you need to be working at or very close to maximal intensity. The duration of an anaerobic training session is more difficult to measure, as high intensity work can't be sustained for very long. And that's overcome by using sets of activity with breaks in between, making the length of a session dependent on the number of sets and reps completed. A training program of 6 to 8 weeks length should show some measurable improvement, however. Overload to anaerobic training can be done by adding, again, no more than 10% to a range of variables. So examples of overload here include increasing the number of sets, increasing reps, decreasing rest periods, increasing work time or distance in things like interval training, or increasing resistance, which is usually associated with resistance training. Only one variable should ever be altered during one period of overload. And again, specificity here. Things to consider when to ensure specificity. Again, important fitness components, so muscular strength and power, speed, agility, anaerobic capacity, the energy systems, anaerobic glycolysis and the ATP-CP system. Important muscle groups. So the example here would be making sure that you're training correct muscles during resistance training. So for argument's sake, a sprinter would probably spend more time working on strength and power in the legs, in the lower extremities, rather than in the upper body, although they would still be working on upper body to maintain some balance and power through the drive phase of running. Relevant distances are used, so making sure that if you're doing short interval work, that the distance you use is common to the game, and that you could use agility activities in your interval training as well, movements that are common to the game that you're training for. And work to rest ratios are really important. So calculating how much time you spend working and how much time you spend resting during a game, and then doing the same sort of thing in training. If we fail to select the appropriate training methods and or apply the training and principles inappropriately, that might result in little or no improvement in performance despite many weeks of training. So it's really important that we get this right. Choose the right training methods and then apply the principles appropriately. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for more podcasts. Go to our website, www.activateedvce.com, and have a look at our masterclass lectures that are coming up in the September holidays to help you prepare for your end of year exams.